NBC News, this is Today with Bryant Gumbel in London and Jane Pauley in New York.
The Great Peace March is being planned for next year. It would be the most ambitious anti-nuclear demonstration ever held in this country. But NBC News correspondent Heidi Schulman reports it all started on a very small scale, just one family in a very quiet place.
The Oregon Trail runs just outside La Grande, Oregon, the peaceful spot John and Glenna Records picked to start a law practice and a backyard garden and a family.
There.
Can you help me put it up?
But as they watch their daughters grow, they increasingly worry that nuclear weapons will wipe out their future.
When the only approach has been something like a movie like The Day After, where this just hits the horrors of it, it's hard to know where to put your energies, and it's hard to find any outlet in response to the problem that is anything but gloomy.
So they've decided to pack up their house, their girls, and their lives in Oregon to walk across the country, asking that all nuclear missiles come down.
How many of you would like to go along with her?
Prudence Leith hasn't met the Records, but she'll be walking with them.
We're all put here not to kill each other, but just to live. I want to bring down the missiles so there's less chance of having a war. And it'll be a good experience, and I'll be glad when I'm older, about 50, I'll be thinking, I did something, I helped it, you know? At least I tried.
She'll march with her father, a Whittier, California gardener, while her mother stays home at work as a copy editor to hold the family's finances together.
We've seen all the movies, Testament and Threads and everything, and by breaking up our family for a few months now, maybe we can prevent that from happening.
They're calling it the Great Peace March.
So that'll be a tent city that'll move forward each day of 5,000 people.
5,000 people marching 15 miles a day.
The laundry support, did we scale that down to one trailer?
Leaving from Los Angeles, moving through the Mojave Desert, across Utah and over Loveland Pass, through the plains to Chicago, across the industrial Midwest, then down the eastern seaboard to Washington. 3,235 miles with one message.
We are abolitionists. We believe that we have the power for global nuclear disarmament, that we have the power to save our children from this Holocaust that they face, and we want them taken down.
Organizer David Mixner is a veteran of the Vietnam moratorium and a string of political campaigns, who complains that most mass demonstrations are over in an afternoon. This one will take 9 months.
We thank the people who has given of themselves.
It's financed to begin by peace activists and Hollywood money, but it's aimed eventually at grabbing as many contributors as a presidential campaign. Their names locked in computer files to keep the movement going when the march is over.
Almost everyone I talked to said impossible. Can't be done. And that's why we decided to do it, because we knew if we could accomplish this with the dignity and the integrity that we hoped that we could do it with, that people would start believing again.
What they believe is deceptively simple. Many will say naive, because they don't talk about how to stop the arms race, not about strategic advantages or bargaining chips or parity, only about the belief that if enough people say to all nuclear powers, you have our permission to stop, they will stop.
People suffer from you've probably heard this before, from psychic numbing. And they pretend like it can't happen. It can't happen to me. It can't happen here. It won't happen. Somebody will stop it. And there's a great scene in Testament where Jane Alexander says, who did this? You know, who's responsible? Somebody should have stopped this. And I think that's what we want to do.
We're trying to build an international movement and trying to make what Eisenhower suggested long ago come true, that people want peace so much that someday the governments are going to have to get out of the way and let them have it.
For us too here in La Grande, a little town in the middle of nowhere, there are at least 100 people now, I think, who feel very strongly that this is a good thing to do. They're going to vote that way, they're going to contact their elected representatives that way, and they're going to tell other people. And this is just the first domino, maybe, in a row of dominoes that's ready to move. So I hope.
Glenna a record says she's still haunted by memories of childhood air raid drills, of lying in bed in Denver, wondering if the planes she heard overhead were going to drop a bomb.
I think that the march is something hopeful that people can grab onto.
Our alternative is to feel that there's nothing we can do. And we refuse to do that.
For today, Heidi Schulman, NBC News, Grand, Oregon.